Welcome to another episode of The Great Debate. Tonight we are coming to you amidst this festival of football with 8 of 10 consecutive days featuring at least one NFL game. It's like Christmas has come early. Well, marginally early anyway. Joining me again tonight is the boss himself, Prophet Hoos. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Like you said, we got football every day. It's been like, this is what, 5 days, 6 days of football now? Like after tomorrow,
something like that.
Man,
I think Friday and Wednesday, I think, might have been the only 2 games with days without games or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I thought it'd be nicer, but
yep.
You know, I thought it would be, I don't know, it maybe breaking it up doesn't feel, I mean, Sunday still feel like Sunday, you know, but then I don't know if those other days you got like the Thursday, which is, you know, Thursday's cool. We actually got a really good Thursday game for once.
Yep.
And then the Saturday it was like, oh, okay, cool. We have football on Saturday. And then Thursday, you know, Monday, we expect to get Monday like a game, but we got like 3 games today or something, right? Or on Monday by the time it's come out.
Two today and 2 tomorrow.
2 today, 2 tomorrow. Yeah, so it's nice.
I don't know about you, though.
It was a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but they're not great games, these kind of island games. And I must say I wasn't kind of absorbed by most of yesterday's games either. It just, I don't know, even first week of the fantasy playoffs just wasn't really feeling it, not really feeling it tonight. I think it could just be some of these kind of shit teams going head-to-head, missing half their players.
Yeah, it definitely feels a lot of that. I mean, it was a really, I thought, fairly low-scoring fantasy week. You know, it was only but so many players that really went off. You had that Thursday game where Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill went off. Other than that, you know, it was kind of a mix of rando guys, you know, like guys we were saying, hey, pick this guy up. He might do well this week. And he does, you know, like we talked about Duke Johnson last week. You know, we thought he'd be good. We didn't think he'd be the RB1.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah, I suppose that's the joy of fantasy football and the frustration to a degree. But I know you and I were both on the right side of Tyler Huntley this week.
Yeah, Huntley was definitely one of those that, you know, I was able to pick him up just late. Yeah. And what else are you starting? The quarterbacks have just not, you haven't felt good about quarterback this year, I don't think. You know, even like talk about Mahomes and Dak Prescott, he's just hasn't really felt startable. It's been a bad year for quarterbacks. It's not been the consistent, you know, year that you just get those top guys. And, you know, I mean, look at even Sunday's game where Brady wasn't, you know, Brady. So.
Yeah, it's a weird week of football and not what you want the first week of fantasy playoffs. Do you need any, let's call them Christmas week miracles tonight or and tomorrow night to get you home?
Oh, man, the 2 leagues, there's 2 leagues right now that there's probably more, but the ones I'm thinking about right now off the top of my head is definitely, actually, I gotta check the Writers League too. Because that'll be 3 that I'm kind of, you know, a little bit more interested in than, you know, some other leagues where, you know, you're in the playoffs, but maybe you haven't checked your score. And one I'm kind of coasting by. I had Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek. I gave a shit ton for Kelsey. I gave a lot for Tyreek as well, and it paid off this week. And that's great because, I mean, I had Julio starting, Mixon. I also had Freeman starting, and we know that didn't do anything for us. So it's this week. Let me see. Who do I need? I feel good here. I don't think I need. Oh, there's a guillotine league that I thought I was already out of.
Ooh.
But I think I'm going to survive. And with the weirdest shit is the person who's getting knocked out is the person who's like leading scorer every week. So It looks like I'm going to survive. It's going to be, I think next week is the last. Is it next week the last week, or does it go down to 2? Might be like final 3, or it probably will go down to final 2. It makes sense. But yeah, final three. I'll be a part of the final three, and I'll keep my fingers crossed that I make it all the way. It's a fun league. I'm definitely looking forward to doing more guillotines next year.
Yeah, they're good, and I like how you can sort of check out if you get
right
eliminated early.
Oh, okay, cool. That's all right. I'm out. One less league.
Yeah, exactly. I need a big week from Cooper Cup. I've got one that's a bit of a convoluted one. With I think I've got 4 players left. He's got 3, and I need to outscore him by 26 points. But I need Cooper Cup to have a big week in a couple of leagues, but not so big that he bumps me off in another. So I think it'll be a fine balancing act from Cup for me. But I'm feeling confident.
So what do you need and what do you don't need, I guess, from him?
I need about 26, 27 points from Cooper Cup, because I've worked out is the threshold where I can win and the other guy can still lose. So
right.
hope it's. I'll cop the extra points from Cup because that means I win as opposed to win multiple as opposed to that one loss. But certainly it'd be nice to walk that tightrope.
And the other league that we're the Writers League, I'm looking at it now, and we're facing my boy Iowa. And I hate to have to do him dirty like this, but looks like he's going to go down this week. He had a 9-5 record. He was the number 3 seed. I was 8-6. Number 6 seed is the one league. I did 1 or 2 other leagues where I did robust RB. Like I probably took, I don't know, insane amount of RBs. And then just drafted like MVS, Russell Gage, traded for Deontay Johnson, and Jerry Jeudy, paid a bit for him. Jerry Jeudy was so disappointing this year. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to advance there. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty nice, pretty good.
I lost to Justin by 5.5 points, which meant he made the playoffs
for
and
you.
I didn't.
Happy for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in that league, you're sort of happy for anyone who wins it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd be happier if it was me that won it, but
yeah, I would be happy.
The joy of fantasy.
Yeah. I'd be happiest. I think if I'm not going to pick favors. Everybody knows who it is anyway. I'm just kidding. I love you all.
Exactly. It's like asking you to pick who's your favorite kid.
Right.
Excellent. Well, enough about our sort of fantasy navel gazing. Making the right choices this time of year is absolutely critical. Kenneth Farrow cost me my first fantasy championship, and Elijah Maguire won me my first. It's not the household names that make the difference. It's the little guys. Mm-hmm. That's where we're going to help you make those right choices for this week, next week, and the rest of the weeks to come. Hopefully, Fantasy Clause will fill your stockings with championship rings, trophies, belts, and most importantly, bragging rights, but only if you listen to us. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Miami running back Duke Johnson and Lions breakout star running back Craig Reynolds. And laugh all you want about my pronunciation, there is no way that C-R-A-I-G is pronounced Craig. Who's you'll be telling us why D. Johnson is the most electrifying running back in fantasy sports entertainment. But first, here's why Reynolds rap will preserve your fantasy playoff hopes. Despite the hype around Godwin, Igwe-Buike, and Jamar Jefferson, it's been journeyman UDFA Craig Reynolds who's emerged from the shadows to become the Lions' lead back without Swift and Williams. The past fortnight against top 10 rushing defenses, he's had 13 touches for 99 scrimmage yards, 27 touches for 117 scrimmage yards. He's the clear workhorse back in that offense. He's logged 40 snaps against the Cards compared to a combined 17 for the other Detroit running backs. It's a bit more of an even split the week before, but clearly Dan Campbell saw something he lacked and decided to run with the hot hand. And Reynolds' hands are still hot, which is excellent news for us leading into these last couple of weeks. His next 2 games are against bottom 7 rushing defenses, Atlanta and Seattle. And I reckon both of these games are winnable for the Lions, despite Jared Goff being on the COVID list. Goff being on the COVID list is probably good news as well for Reynolds, as the Lions will need to rely on him to move the ball and maybe use him as a check-down option more in the passing game if they've got David Blau or Tim Boyle or some other crab throwing the ball back there. But stats aside, as far as I'm concerned, he passed the eye test. He looks to be a hard man to tackle, as shown by his 27.3% broken tackle rate and 73.5% of his yards coming after contact. Those are the elitist of elite numbers. Yes, it's a small sample size, but it's still impressive after 2 games. The Lions' strength is their offensive line. Reynolds does his best work where they block best, up the middle. Despite their lackluster season, the Lions have been a decent running team and are equal 7th in yards per carry. Some of that is going to be the brilliance of DeAndre Swift, but yeah, they're punching big holes for him as well. It's hard to find a solid running back this time of year, and Reynolds is going to give you a solid floor, and most of all, he's not going to ruin your chances of progressing, even if he lacks that astronomical ceiling. But I could be wrong, so tell me why I'm wrong about Craig Reynolds.
Craig. He's not the one that lost his job. He gained a job. He's going to be, he's going to be somebody to watch for sure. But the problem with Craig, no, he didn't lose his job for stealing boxes. But, Godwin, he hasn't looked really great. Jamar, he hasn't looked great. We haven't really seen much of him. Yes, Craig has looked good. They've got their first win under this guy. So, yeah, you want to see more of him. They also got Jason Kabinda, who, somebody, we talked about guys in the previous episodes, and we actually left off Craig Reynolds because he was one of those practice guy squad that we weren't really thinking about. Didn't really get much playing time. Jason Kabinda or Kabinda or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm messing up your name, Jason. But that's a guy that was getting some work, at least in the passing game in previous games. He did get some work. They do like him. It's his 4th year in the league. So Craig, I mean, it's his 3rd year in the league. So I think they kind of want to see more from these guys. I think this will be their Swift and Jamal Williams between Craig Reynolds and Kabinda. I think we'll see a lot of that going forward. The rest of the season, you're going to be relying on him to be getting what do you get? 20 something rushes or something like that. 26 carries. He got 1 target. Granted, I'm about to talk about Duke Johnson, and he only got 1 target. I mean, the volume is king. You'd love to see it. And albeit he does have nice matchups coming up, against Atlanta and Seattle. So if Swift does not come up, I do like Craig Reynolds quite a bit. But my problem with having him and pivoting to him over, say, Duke Johnson, is, Duke Johnson's, we'll get into Duke Johnson, but the bigger thing is all the guys that's behind him. So you got Godwin, you got Jamar Jefferson, you got Jason Kabinda, you got Rodney Smith, you got Javon Leake and Michael Warren. These are all the guys that's on their running back depth squad. I don't know. He's been nice these past 2 weeks, but I mean, for argument's sake, I don't know how much you're going to trust it running into, and you're not getting it. If you're not in a PPR, he's got to score or just get over 100 yards or something like that for him to be relevant. Other than that, he's probably going to get you 8 points next week. And Jason Kabinda is gonna end up being the guy that you wanted to start. And just because he's in that passing down role, and it is against Atlanta.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I thought Kabinda was a tight end, but it clearly wasn't. Oh no, linebacker, running back. Good for him. 2-way play. Get him in the RDP leagues.
Yeah, I love that. You love to see.
There you go. So he's a fullback. He rushed twice for 21 yards and failed to secure his. Oh no, sorry, that was the week before. Sorry, fake news on Jason Kabinda. He certainly did pop up with a touchdown on the weekend. But enough about him. This is the Jason Kabinda podcast. Tell us about Duke Johnson and why we should be having him on our roster.
Duke Johnson, man, for one, he's a great story, right? We all love Duke Johnson, the 3rd rounder when he went to the Browns. Stellar guy out of college. This guy's been in Miami the past 2 months as a practice squad guy. Actually, fun story. I was out, picking up some stuff from the Bed Bath and Beyond, or one of those baby stores, not Bed Bath and Beyond, the baby one, the bigger one. You know which one. You guys know. You're saying it now. Yes, that one. I was there and I saw Duke Johnson. He had his mask on. I was like, "Hey, Duke Johnson, I see you," through the mask, and he fist bumped me. And I was like, "You're cool. You're cool. I have some memorabilia from you." He was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah." And that was that. But this guy it's time to shine. Duke Johnson, it's time to shine. He came out. We talked about, I talked about him a little bit earlier, the carries that he got. Yeah, he only got one target, but Duke Johnson is a passing back. So don't be surprised if this guy gets more of that work. We've seen Myles Gaskins. He's been a wishy-washy back. We don't know what we're going to get from him. This is a hometown hero guy, And again, guy led in college. I believe he led the University of Miami in rushing, all time, and that record still holds up to this day. So the guy has the chops. It's not like Duke Johnson is just some rando guy, and he's 28 years old. He just turned 28, so I feel like he could be like a Justin Forsett for you. Whenever he went somewhere, he was excited when he got there. He just didn't really get the usage. And now Duke Johnson, he's in a prime position to get the usage. You're talking about a team that was 31 on as far as rushing, and it's Duke Johnson's first 100-yard game, and they really haven't had much of that, seen anything like that. I think, with the playoff hunts, now they're 7-7 with playoffs right in sight. They're going to want that hard-nosed running that they got from Duke Johnson. He brings that veteran presence. He's a hometown guy. And yeah, I think he's primed for this. These guys are fighting for the playoffs right now after winning this past game, being 7-7. And Duke Johnson could be potentially a league winner. Both of these guys potentially. But if you're gonna, put a gun in my head, I want to give it to the guy I fist bumped in the baby store. So Duke Johnson, love that guy. I'm very excited to see him shine, get another opportunity in the NFL. He was due. He was due.
There's irrefutable evidence why you should pick him up. Is the when you see someone in public doing something, it's always good omen.
Always. You have to. You owe it to yourself. It's like, man, I saw Duke Johnson. I didn't pick him up. It's karma now. Somebody's gonna pick him up, and you lose. It's not good. So you just pick. Listen to Sheahan. He's a wise man.
Well, I got some bad news for you about your mate Duke Johnson. Only the Texans have a worse rushing offense than the Dolphins this year. Their offensive line couldn't stop a stiff breeze, and we've seen every running back they've used, other than Johnson, struggle week to week and at the very least be unreliable for fantasy. We saw good numbers from Johnson, but this was against the Jets, a rushing defense which couldn't stop a stiff breeze. The next 2 weeks are against the Saints and Titans, two of the stingiest rushing defenses in the league. The Titans have allowed the second fewest yards to running backs despite facing Jonathan Taylor twice, and the Saints have allowed the fewest yards per carry in the league and a perennially tough rushing defense. Couple that with Waddle returning from injury, and you have a recipe for fantasy heartbreak. Johnson has always looked like a player who should produce more than he does. We've seen over his career that he struggles with injury, consistency, and that means he struggles to score fantasy points on the reg. Personally, I would rather lose to Duke Johnson than lose because of him. Might be a silly season, but now is not the time to get silly. If you need to swing from the fences to win, then go ahead, start Duke Johnson. But expecting him to produce is a recipe for an unhappy Christmas.
All right. Well, I guess you're going to go into your guy again and wrap up why you're so correct on him.
Look, I think I've said my bit about Craig Reynolds. I think it boils down to, if you want someone to not shit the bed, it's Craig Reynolds. If you need to swing for the fences and, you need to outscore the other person, or you feel like you need to push hard to outscore the other person, I think Duke Johnson's a pretty good option. I've always really liked him as a player, and I'm sure every single NFL fan or fantasy player has looked at him and gone, why can't this guy put it together consistently? Because he's a fucking good football player. He's been in the league, would you say he's 27, 28? He came in as a 21-year-old.
Yep.
He's just never really got it done.
He's never really had an opportunity, I feel like, either. He's had opportunities, but it still wasn't given to him. I believe the reason why Duke Johnson probably didn't or hasn't had a bigger career, I mean, and maybe he does it now. I think it's simply, it has to be like I don't know, like inspiring, like, I don't know. Like when I met him, he seemed kind of like, hey, what's up? Not that I expect him to be doing backflips. Like, oh, hey, you're pointing me out, but still, it might be that, some guys, they just don't have that motivation. Not, that's not necessarily good, but I feel like he might have that now, right? He's had that potential when people saw, this is a guy that was out of the league. And, people write narratives about you after a while, and we've seen it time to time in different sports, Carmelo Anthony and, Duke Johnson could be one of these guys as well. Like you write them off and they've got a lot left in the tank. And I think he's one of those guys. Sure, Craig Reynolds right now, he's got that fresh, legs, but I think Duke Johnson definitely does as well. And what are you playing left for? I mean, you got Miami they have to win some games. Their defense can win a championship. I mean, if a month, 2 from now, and Miami Dolphins win a championship, I mean, we'll be surprised, but not win a championship, at least get to the Super Bowl. I don't think we'd be that surprised. I think that they could get to the Super Bowl just based off of their defense. So you give them a guy that's been written off like a Fournette last year, and obviously Tua is no Tom Brady. But we've seen these guys get it done, that weren't the most stellar. I mean, it's the Super Bowl defenses to get you there. And I think Duke Johnson will be a huge piece in their run in the next few weeks. We don't know if that'll be the same for Jamar for the Lions. They might roll in Jamar Jefferson, the guy they drafted. They might want to see more of Jason Cabino, or DeAndre Swift might come back wearing a flak jacket and ending the run of Craig Reynolds. But right now, for the sake of, pick up both of these guys. I mean, if you're able to, if you've been listening to us, you probably already have them on your team. We've been talking about these guys. Maybe not so much Craig Reynolds so much, but definitely we talked about him last week. So you should have had him on your team last week. And I've seen a lot of people writing him off. Like, you know what though, and that just goes to show, like, I was on with Natter a couple weeks ago, and he was just talking about like how he doesn't listen to other fantasy analysts, and I'm like, man, it's really smart for you not to, even sometimes on Twitter, because you'll sometimes doubt your own thoughts. When you see someone, especially just writing someone off, and I just think that's such a bad. I don't care how bad you think this player is as a talent. These are people who they have chips on their shoulder, and if they want to get it done, they're going to get it done. I mean, Taylor Heineke's not the best quarterback in the world, but he's the chip guy. He wants to prove he could be in the NFL. So I mean, these people are people. At the end of the day, and they've got families to feed and wants and whatnot. So don't write these guys off just because you haven't heard of them. So I mean, look at Arian Foster. That guy's practice squad guy came on. And look at that guy, so it's a bunch of these guys that, been championship winners. And, maybe we'll be doing a 32-bit show in the future. Remember that player, Craig Reynolds.
I think I said that on last week's great debate with Nick, saying, I think I said that what's the over-under before someone tweets, hey, remember Craig Reynolds?
Yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
In fact, I certainly didn't, because I originally wrote my notes down for Craig Robinson, who I believe plays Doug Judy in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So even I'd forgotten him, but... this is the time of year where you get these guys pop up that win you championships and they stick with you forever. Like, no one fucking thinks about Elijah McGuire. I think he's on the Chiefs at the moment. I look up and I've got a fantasy ring because of him.
Yeah. I mean, we all have those guys that just have that fondness in our hearts. Like who the hell is that? He helped me win fantasy championships, and I mean his even the starting percentage, right, might have been super low. He might have just helped like you and 200 other guys win a championship because they probably didn't start him. But you're in that group, that 200 in a bar, and I'm like, what, you started him too? That guy's your best friend now. You guys, your best buds. You might as well just go leave your wives and go do Brokeback Mountain stuff.
I mean, I've been waiting to meet Elijah McGuire, so I could engage in that sort of thing. There you go, man.
Dreams can come true.
I think we'd have a lot in common, he and I. Although, it was when he was on the Jets that he was my league winner. Anyway, who else are you targeting this week? And I know you're going to say Tyler Johnson. Because of the injuries in Tampa Bay, and I'm going to say Antonio Brown because I have seen him on waivers in too many leagues, and every time I've seen him on the waivers, I've picked him up because he is too good a player to just be sitting there. But who else are you looking at? Scooter Miller. Yeah, you said I'm gonna go another round.
Like Scotty Miller's a guy that I think before Tyler Johnson, I think, what was he on IR or something like that? Something had to have happened because he was ahead of Tyler Johnson. He was preferred.
So he's Tom Brady. Didn't he?
Yeah, I feel like he's Tom Brady's preferred option as well. A couple other guys that we told you to pick up that shouldn't be on waivers, but if they are, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, obviously, Josh Reynolds, Russell Gage shouldn't be there, obviously, the past few weeks. Laquan Treadwell. We talked about him the past few weeks. He hasn't done anything out, crazy, but he's been a solid wide receiver 3-4 for you. 9, 10 points, 11, almost 12 points last game. He's got the Jets. He's got the Patriots. He's been leading that team in targets. So again, not a guy that's you're super excited about, but definitely somebody that can help you in a pinch. Gabe Davis. If obviously before this, Ronald Jones, obviously we know he's going to miss time, but definitely another guy I'd be interested in looking.
Yeah, Rojo definitely. Gabe Davis definitely. Gabe Davis. I'm going to caution people and say pick him up for the end of this year. Don't overdraft him next year.
I would say possibly do not overdraft him, but Gabe Davis is a guy that in dynasty leagues, I've already spent second rounders on, like giving up second rounders to acquire him when people were just like, oh, this guy's doing nothing. I'm like, I'll spend a second on Gabe. I mean, I think he has that. I think he could be the wide receiver 1 on that team next year, to be honest with you.
Someone's going to have to be, because I think I don't think he looks washed, but we've seen the best of Diggs.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's another one of those guys where, you get past that 28 threshold. You go through a lot, you run a lot of routes, especially the type of guy that he is. The routes and the moves, the breaks at this, after a while it breaks, these guys can't stay forever, in the league. But I think Gabe Davis is a guy that, what would you say over drafting him? Because I feel like if I would take him as high as the 4th round.
Gabe Davis next year.
Yeah, I don't think you needed to probably because it's if you're talking about super flex, no. So I'm going to say 7th round, as high as the 7th round. Because now I'm envisioning super flex and everything else. I'm like, okay, it's going to push a lot down. Yeah,
7th or 8th round would be the earliest I feel comfortable taking him. In saying that, a couple of weeks ago, obviously debuted the club sandwich drafting strategy, and he would be in my bottom layer of sandwich filling. So you've got your running back. Hang on, I've even forgotten how this works. I think he's the middle tier of bread. I need to write this down so I can refer to it.
Right. I mean, this is good stuff. You got to be able to refer it to people, effectively.
I think he's in the middle tier of breads. So you're going to be looking at other teams' wide receiver twos. Darnell Mooney would have been gone by then. I think he's going to be in that conversation with guys like Landry, Devontae Parker, those sorts of names, and I would rather Davis to those guys, but I would also rather Mooney to Davis.
Yeah, I want the better quarterback in every situation. Whenever it comes down to guys that are the same, I say, who's the quarterback? And you tell me who the two quarterbacks are, and I'm going to say, give me the guy with the better quarterback.
That's reasonable.
And that's just my process for drafting, for starting guys for the most part. Even though I left Gabe Davis on my bench this week, and I started Julio. Even though I had Gabe Davis in my lineup all week, and like how when you approach your lineup, you have your process, you thought it out, and you have it set, and then last minute you might look it over, you're like, this is something doesn't seem right here, and you change it, but you already had your process well thought out, and then you just change it so arbitrarily, you just kind of just like, and that's what happened. That's what happened. Threw Julio in my lineup. I was like, he's the only guy healthy there, but he wasn't. I don't even know if he played. They said he had one target, but I'm not sure if he was out there. I'm not sure.
He went off early with an injury, but he jobbed me in a league as well. I started him on reputation. And I thought, well, if I need big points, he's a guy who can deliver that. And, I didn't think it through. But
right.
Sucked in me.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. But, this is why you listen to the process. You listen to the Sleeper Wire show. You listen to the great debates. And we'll help you figure out just don't mess with your process. After your process is thought out, just leave your phone alone. Go mock draft or something like that. Do not go do FanDuel or DraftKings or something like that. Don't mess with your lineup anymore. You thought about it all week. Sunday is not the time to let me just change this. No, don't do it. That's how I've lost more championships doing that. Like I've lost two. I remember. Like I took a guy out. I was like, I'm gonna just arbitrarily throw this guy in. My process was good in the beginning of the week, and then Sunday I just felt the nerves, and I was like, I'm gonna throw this guy in, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So don't do that.
You could do what I did on Sunday, which was in my COVID fog, ask people for advice, and then just totally forget to change your lineup. That works too. Starting DeAndre Swift in a league.
Oh man,
didn't even play. Thankfully, I won, but still felt like an idiot.
That's always the best when you win. Anyway, it's like somebody's like, "Oh, you fucking idiot! You didn't even start it." And he was like, "Oh, sorry, man. That's what do you want me to do?" Like, I tried. Like I didn't get here. It happens, and this sometimes starting your best guys isn't the best. So sometimes when, like that happens to us and it's like you forget to start the guy that you wanted to start a guy, like he seemed like a good matchup and you're like, damn it, I get to start that guy. Game locked, but you're able to put in another guy. And that guy is somebody that you were not even excited about, but that guy does better than the guy you were going to put in anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes you win. Sometimes the fantasy world, the gods play tricks on different people, and sometimes it's your day. So that's what we're here for, right? To help you with the luck of the gods. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
No, that's exactly it. Yeah. We are the fantasy gods, and don't you forget it. Mm-hmm. Well, on that note, if you feel like praising the fantasy gods, head on over to Patreon/Sleeperwire. Chuck in us a couple of bucks. All the money you send us goes to charity. We don't make any money out of this at all. We're doing this because we want you to be better fantasy football players and because we want to raise some money for mental health charities. You can follow Hoos over at, what's your handle again?
Prophet Who's on Sleeper, and on Twitter, I am Who's the Prophet. That's HUS, the Prophet. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm nowhere else. I mean, like walking around Earth, but as far as other places, I'm nowhere else.
Yep, and you can find him in your local. It's not Bed Bath and Beyond, but it's a baby store, yes. And you can find baby him stores. And Duke Johnson doing public appearances there from time to time. Yes. And of course, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Sheahan Solo. That's SheahanSolo. Follow that, and you'll never miss any of the great content our team at Sleepaway and our mates at 32-Bit put out. So until next time,
if I don't speak to you before,
happy holidays, Merry Christmas, good luck in your fantasy playoffs. Go out there and get it done.